Welcome back to the program. Let's look at the housing issue now. Joining me is the Shadow Assistant Minister for Home Ownership, Andrew Bragg. Senator Bragg, thanks for your time. Suggestions today, the government's nowhere near getting to that target of 30,000 homes under its Housing Australia Future Fund. They say there are thousands in the pipeline. They're waiting approvals. What's your reaction to this story? Do you have to cut them a bit of slack given those planning hurdles that you've got to overcome? And they've said within 5 years, so they've still got a couple of years to start hitting those benchmarks.
Well, Kieran, good afternoon. The housing construction figures have collapsed under this government, and the fact that their own fund has not been successful is just emblematic of the overall housing record. So you've seen a collapse in overall construction from 190,000 on average to 170,000 houses a year on average. And the Housing Australia Future Fund and Housing Australia have had 18 months of doing business already, and they haven't put a shovel in the ground or built a single house. So I would have thought that 18 months would be long enough to build a single house.
The government, through the Minister Claire O'Neil, has had a crack at you for your comments on this issue, saying you're the one who delayed the policy in the first place. This could have been up and going a year earlier.
Well, it's been going since the end of 2023. So that's 18 months. And so they've announced, including an announcement with the Prime Minister in September last year, 13,000 new houses. But they've only signed contracts for 800 of them, let alone putting a shovel into the ground. And the main contract that they've actually signed is with the super funds. So I think they're sort of obsessed with trying to get the super funds to become Australia's corporate landlords, and they're not very good at actually building houses.
Do you have a policy, or will you announce a policy when it comes to social and affordable housing?
Well, of course, the main thrust of our housing policy is to get more houses built overall, because most people don't live in social and affordable houses. So that is the thrust of our policy with our $5 billion supply fund. And we proven as a failure.
So you won't, is it not your priority to have a social housing policy?
Of course it's part of the mix, and historically all governments have supported public housing in some form and also social housing, which is different from public housing. So there will be a program to support that. But at the end of the day, the Housing Australia Future Fund has not been successful. I mean, even 18 months and only a few contracts signed, I think shows you that it's not the way to go. And look, a lot of the community housing providers are very upset because they've been pushed out of the way so Labor can shovel money to their mates, the super funds, who they want to become perpetual corporate landlords.
On your policy of super for first homes, have you got any further plans for the campaign? Will you bump up the amount that people can access out of their super?
Well, the policy as it stands, Kieran, is $50,000. And for people who want to buy a first home, that will make a material difference in bridging the massive deposit cliff that younger people face. So the average 38-year-old has 90 grand in their super. So if they're able to take a portion of that or combine it with their partner, they will be able to bridge largely the deposit cliff in virtually every capital city.
So no plan to increase that?
Look, the plan as it stands is $50,000. That was a plan from the last election. That would make a material difference to people who want to buy their first house.
Okay. As it stands, sounds like there's a bit of wiggle room there. Anyway, Andrew Bragg, we will wait to see for the campaign.